our stories are very, very similar, actually.
It's true.
So we both like started from a路邊攤, and now we both have restaurants. So today I want to get to know Eddy more, get to know more about his journey, and see how much we've got in common, and see all the cultural differences. First of all, we weren't bosses back in our own country. We had to learn how to be bosses, and we had to learn like Chinese as to be a boss in Chinese as well. Because I remember thinking, I had staff coming to me when we first started getting staff. They couldn't speak English, and I obviously wouldn't expect them to. But I started thinking, I better like up my game, because I have to teach you how to do this, and I have to teach you, you know, I have to be a boss to you. So I think it just put me into this gear of like, I better just start like, you know, trying to learn Chinese better, you know. So I don't know, how about you? How was things with that?
It was the same for me, and I did speak some Chinese at the time, but I call it like hustle Chinese, for sure.
We have like a script in our brain, like, you know, how to order this.
How to make sure this guy gets
down to a T, right?
How to make sure this guy gets a second drink.
Exactly.
And I'm like, let me just pull that one up for you.
We know the proper, like,
okay, this guy's gonna get a second drink.
We know how to bring in the money at least.
Exactly.
You know?
Shout out to your husband and my wife, because all the Chinese stuff, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, same. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for that, because I couldn't do it. I still can't really do it.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, what would you say, Eddy, has been like your biggest like challenge as a foreigner boss in Taiwan?
You would think it would be language, but it's not. I think it's like, it's culture. I think in your culture it would be like common sense to kind of do this or that.
Right.
But here in a completely different culture, it's not common sense. You're like, no, that doesn't make sense at all in this culture. When we started, we were young.
Yeah.
So everybody would just write us off as 小朋友你不知道, you know, always. Did you hear that? This is what you should do.
Yeah, and I find also in Taiwan the people are so kind. They always want to give you advice, but it comes across as not advice. It comes across as you should do this.
It's definitely been rough on like our marriage. It's definitely 24/7. Like, we live in chaos.
Yeah, together and
together.
All the time.
And it's hard to shut it off. Sometimes that starts arguments, obviously.
Yeah.
One of the things that is not good is we don't really have a chance to miss each other, because it's like,
How have you found like staff in Taiwan?
I remember at the first restaurant, I had a Taiwanese chef who, you know, for example, we do fajitas with like like an iron, like a tieban, sort of like an iron, where you get that little.
We have like peppers and all that kind of stuff.
You gotta have that. You have to have that like that little browning on the outside with, like, you know, you cook that on iron, right? And I caught him just deep frying them. He just threw them in a basket, deep fried it. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, this is what we do in Chinese restaurants, because it's easier and faster.
I've had this as well. Oh, normally in Taiwan we do this, but I'm like, no, we don't do this. They've got their own education of what they think it should be like. And when someone's introduced, they think, oh, well, this maybe you're doing it the wrong way kind of thing. Did you have that?
Yeah, like, for sure. I would second guess myself a lot.
Same.
Because I'm thinking, what are we doing here? Like, what?
I did actually, like, some customers would say, oh, that's too sweet, that's too sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I start to change it. And then the next customer would be going, oh, that's not sweet enough. And I'd be like, okay, I'll change it again. And it got to the point where I was like, no. And if there's 10 people saying it's too sweet, yes, I will change it. And I find that, because obviously stuff we would have back home that we thought would sell really, really well to our country's people, does not go well here. And stuff that I thought might not go so well here, like scones. Like, we did scones, and it was literally as a special. Went really crazy. And isn't it funny? You just can't judge it.
Our best seller is at least top 2 enchiladas. We use a flour tortilla, which is not the right way. Right, you use a corn tortilla back in Mexico.
I didn't know,
So people were asking for a long time in Danshui for enchiladas. At that time, we didn't know how to do the corn process. We didn't know there was no corn flour. So people like, just use flour. I'm like, no, that's not the right. It's like blasphemy. That's not the right way. Like, that's not right.
Exactly.
You know,
it just hurts your heart. Think about it.
So I mean, business sucked, and I'm like, all right, well, let's just try it.
Yeah.
And we did them with the flour, same process, but flour tortillas. And then, bam, everybody loved him. Huge seller, top seller.
Right.
Came to the point where we were able to get corn flour. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch him to the corn.
Yeah.
And it's going to be even better.
Like to the original, like how it would be in
actual
Mexico,
recipe.
right?
Yeah. It's going to be the best. People are going to love it. And it was like, boom. Like, the sales for the enchiladas just they tanked.
But it's crazy. Why?
And I'm like, what happened? And they're just like, what happened to your enchiladas? They're like the most amazing thing, and now they're not good. And I'm like, well, because actually that's the actual real way. Our
That's the
bestsellers.
thing as well, you have to compromise, because we found the same as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, oh my God, we would have it exactly like that, but it doesn't
Yeah.
sell well, so we'd like change it a little bit, you know what I mean? And we still got to make money at the end of the day, you know
You
what
have
I
to.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
compromise a bit, which I'm sure Asian food does in our countries as well.
Oh,
They
man.
like, you know, I know it's
So
sweet
different.
in the UK. What with the biggest thing you've learned about anything yourself, or what be found that I've just become a different person, and
Oh, yeah,
you know, yeah, you
for
learn
sure.
as you go along, and
I learned that I'm a pretty like resilient person. Like we've gone through hell.
yeah,
The most thing that I learned about myself is, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I like people a lot. I was a super introverted person before. When I came here, I needed to push myself to stop that, because
it kind of pushed you, I think, doesn't it, to be a boss, because you have to.
Yeah,
It's like
you have
no
to.
choice. You have to, right? Yeah.
My first thing is when someone asks me to do something that makes me uncomfortable, my first thing is no.
Me too.
My brain is like, nope, I'm not doing it.
Me too.
No.
How do you overcome that? How do you overcome that voice of doubt? Because
just-
it's always there, isn't
It's
it?
always
right?
there.
Yeah.
It's always
How
there.
do you
And I
overcome
really just, I just count to like 10 seconds and I'm like, yes, okay, you know what? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can host, I can do this, I can do that. I'm pretty good on the mic. I have developed some kind of
Definitely.
skills.
Oh, come on, you're amazing. Like pushing yourself into your out of your comfort zone as well. I think that's something we have to do on a daily basis as
Sure,
bosses as
for
well.
sure,
And
yeah.
some days you just think, oh my God, I don't know how I'm just going to get through this. Whether
Yeah.
it's an awkward situation with staff, or
Yep.
it's, you know, a new, you know, opening a new store or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's really important. I don't know, for me, it's really important to like prep myself at every single morning, like just to be ready for the world sometimes, you know,
Yeah,
because I sometimes find if I'm not like okay inside, then things just don't go quite what, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like just
100%.
get this false, like, just stop listening to that voice in your head, I think.
It's crazy
Yeah.
that after so long you still have it.
Oh God, yeah.
But it seems, is it
More
like
than
ever,
ever
is it ever
now.
going away?
Yeah,
Like, because
I think that's the thing. We just got to learn to
Yeah.
live with it and just learn
Yeah.
how to tame the beast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, right? Yeah. And
it's like, wait a minute, you stop and you look back at all the stuff you've done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty good.
I think we should be proud of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sometimes
I'm like,
you
I'm
should
not
give ourselves a
bad.
bit of a break, right?
Yeah.
And just think, you know, we put all this effort in, and we should just
Yeah.
learn to be kinder to ourselves. And
Yeah.
it's easier said than done when that voice is talking
sure.
to you, you know.
For sure.
But I think it's an ongoing process, isn't it? Eddy, you spoke earlier about
Yeah.
like imposter syndrome as
Oh,
well.
for sure.
And I have exactly the same thing. Like, I mean, like with, you know, being a boss, sometimes I think, oh my God, should I be doing this? Am I qualified to be doing this? Or
Yeah.
should I be doing YouTube? You know, what am I doing? You know, I just keep pushing through it. Whenever I come here, it's always so busy. It's just such
Yeah.
good food. But how do you manage? Like, you've got a restaurant, a team to manage, and also a beautiful daughter as well.
Yeah.
And a podcast. I mean, how do you manage your time?
One of the good things about doing live is, you know, I dedicate, like, I think like you, one day.
Yeah.
Is that's when I get all the questions and I do all the research and I get pictures and I get all the info. I kind of do that on a Tuesday. And then like the rest of the week, it's like, okay, back to business.
That's good. And do you find
Yeah.
like living in like the compartment, like that's your day
Yeah.
for doing that, and then you can focus on other stuff? And 'cause I think if we look at our schedules sometimes and we do it, you know, it's just so like daunting, isn't it? Like
It
so
is.
overwhelming.
Yeah. Like I do that, and I spend a lot of time with my staff.
Yeah.
My wife does most of the, like she does more managing stuff,
Right.
and we have a pretty good manager here. She's good. Yeah, I mean, what I tried to do is I try to delegate stuff, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to do.
And what's the next step for like your restaurant?
Well, my ideal situation would be I want to really have the restaurant organized, and like I always tell everyone the same thing, like systemized,
Yeah.
like almost like franchisable,
Yeah.
right? To where you could franchise. Do I want to or not? I don't know, but to where you could, and
So
you've
your
got to-
SOPs are all perfect,
Yes,
everything, right? Yeah. Even a
that's it.
teenager could just look at it and be like, yes, done.
if
right.
you look at McDonald's, a 15-year-old goes
Right.
into McDonald's and they know nothing about food or anything, and they're making the food.
yeah.
It's normal.
Because it's just perfectly
It's just-
set out, right? You
Yeah,
know,
like
yeah.
I need to get that. Like I'm trying to do that, but I realize I can't make that on my own.
Because one thing that I love
All right.
about Eddy's restaurant here is that everything is like homemade. So the recipes, a lot of the recipes are from your mum. Is that right? Like
90%, 95%
And I love
come
that.
from mom.
So if you come here, you taste a really authentic like Mexican food, and the food is so good. So if you haven't already been to Eddy's Cantina, it's in Tianmu, and it is an amazing, very authentic Mexican restaurant. The food is fantastic. I personally love this drink. What is it?
Horchata.
Horchata. So it's
Horchata.
got like, what is in it?
It's like vanilla,
Yeah.
sugar, cinnamon. It's like a rice sort of watery deal. Milk.
Amazing. It's amazing. Literally everything on the menu is amazing.
Thank you.
So if you haven't been yet, come. It's amazing because he's got live chats with every single week. He's got a different guest on a Tuesday. So please do like and subscribe. I'll put all the links below. If you
Thumbs up
haven't
really
already,
helps
like and
us.
subscribe to both of us. And if you haven't already, check out my restaurants. One's in Danzhou, one's in Xinyi. And we're also on www.british8.com. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.